Welcome to another episode of the Pocket Mastermind podcast. Today's conversation is all about living a life to its fullest around a career or business. So let me ask a couple of questions. Do you have a list of amazing things you'd like to do, but find that work or life in general just gets in the way? And are you waiting until the magic retirement day to get out and see the world? Well, my guest today is Travis Bell, no relation. Put that in there, who has been dubbed the bucket list guy, and he's going to explain to us how life doesn't have to be that way, and we can create more fun, more freedom, more happiness, and it can fit around the business or career. So, Trav, very warm welcome to the Pocket Mastermind podcast.
David, stoked to be on. G'day from Australia, everybody.
Yeah, really good to have you. So, tell us a bit about your background. How did you become the bucket list guy?
Yeah, well, actually, someone called me the bucket list guy years ago, about 10 years ago. I guess a real quick backstory. I grew up in Ocean Grove, which is where I came back to after living in Melbourne, about an hour and a half out of Melbourne. And I started doing personal fitness training back in the mid-90s. So I was one of the first personal trainers running around Melbourne here in Australia. Started with one client. I was the first to franchise personal training in Australia. So founded and franchised a chain of personal training studios around Australia. Nearly 2 million personal training sessions. Not me, but me and my 300 odd personal trainers that worked under that first business, and tens of thousands of clients. Always loved helping people. You know, it's one of my highest values. And I grew it into a bit of a monster, and I sort of became someone that I didn't like, and a few other things was sort of going on in my life. Sort of all got on top of me, and I went through a bout of depression.
Mm-hmm.
And probably like a lot of people listening, watching to this, mate, had a little breakdown before breakthrough kind of moment. And I instead of going on like heavy antidepressants, I found myself going, no, I don't want to just get a Band-Aid fix to that. I wanted to really get to the root cause. So I found myself, going to personal development seminars and learning all about NLP and positive psychology and a Kagi principle, law of attraction, and all these other things. And kind of out the other side became a life coach, I guess. And even though I hate that term, and it was actually in one of those seminars, a friend of mine said, "Hey, why don't you teach this shit?" and it actually helped me. Really, it was quite poignant because it actually helped me compartmentalize what I was going through at the time, and a few other factors contributed it. And I saw a speaker speak, and I just thought to myself, being somewhat shy compared to what I am now, I thought if I could. I love what he did, and for me, I thought if I could do that, I could do anything. If I could do that, it would be extremely cathartic. It would also be the big domino that I would push over that would affect a lot of other areas of my life. So I put on a talk, a public seminar, went for 3 hours long. I was absolutely terrified. I nearly had to pay the 40 people that came, and about halfway through, I was going all right, getting some laughs. It was not too bad. It was, a few aha moments as well. And I shared, for the first time, the fact that I'd had a list to do before I died, actually written down since I was 18. And not a lot of people knew that about me. And I shared this list, and I said, well, what about you guys? Do you have one of these lists to do before you die? And everyone was like, no. I was the only freak in the room. So I said, well, why the hell do you get up in the morning? Why are you in business? There were some entrepreneurs in the room. Why do you want to earn money? And quite commonly it came back as, I want to pay off the house, put the kids through school, do a bit of travel when I'm older. I'm like, probably sicker.
Mm-hmm.
And so it went from a crappy seminar to a not so crappy seminar. That kind of inspired people. And right at the end of it, someone said, how's all this list to do before you die stuff? It's really pumped everyone up. It's like a bucket list. You're like the bucket list guy. And I went, pong, light bulb moment. Went home, registered the domain name, thebucketlistguy.com, and I've been doing that ever since. That was 10 years ago.
Amazing. So what was it then when you started going to these seminars? What were the things that you really took away initially that you kind of changed your mind around?
Well, look, I kind of studied happiness. You know, one of the founding principles of what I do now is positive psychology, which is essentially the science of happiness. You know, how to help people. I was on my own discovery. I was on my own treasure hunt, trying to work out what the hell was going on. And rather than, like I said before, putting a band-aid over the top of it and masking what was going, I wanted to get to the root cause. And so I discovered, positive psychology kept popping up, popping up, popping up. And instead of going to university and studying psychology and then positive psychology, did a bunch of courses in amongst everything else. And really that's about helping people, me at the time, find more meaning, more purpose, and more fulfillment, and be more grateful. And for me, instead of becoming the happiness guy, the positive psychology guy, the bucket list was really true to my values, and the bucket list was something that I always, as a filter, that I always ran my decisions through. I still do run my my decisions, and if I could get a business that kind of reflects my values, I think that's the holy grail. If you can do what you love, you never work a day in your life, so to speak. And for me, it just felt right. And I wanted something that would help me from a branding point of view rise above the noise as well, rather than just be travbell.com. I went with the bucketlistguy.com, and it was really just a reflection of me. My brand is an extension of me. But so what I teach now, like I said, is largely founded on positive psychology, but really I studied and still do, a soup of all these personal development tools. And I just wanted to add more and more of these tools. There was a time, like I was in one of these seminars, and around about the same time, the right place, right time, I partnered with this lady by the name of Deb. And in these seminars, as you know, mate, you say your sob story, they say theirs, we share it, we hug it out, we high five, we walk on fire together, you break boards and bend bars and break arrows with your fears written on them, all that sort of stuff. And done all that, spent the money, and I partnered with this lady by the name of Deb. Now, Deb was in her early 50s, and I gave her my story at the time, which in comparison, my depression that I was going through at the time was really mild compared to what I've heard since and what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. And I shared my story, and then Deb shared her story, and she said, "Oh, that's well and good, Trav. For me, I've just had a hysterectomy and I'm now cleared of cancer, and I really wanted to have kids. And that's why I've stayed single as well." And I just went, "Oh my God, what the hell are you bitching about, mate?" In that moment, I don't know, right place, right time. I had to hear that story. And I just became in that moment really overly grateful. I've got excellent health. I love the end product of personal training. Just the business model wasn't right for me at the time, being a creative, and it just did my head in. I let some, cancerous kind of people into my life as well, and I just right place, right time. Needed to hear that story from Deb. I translated it to what I was really grateful for. Was that, and everything else that led me to really step up into what I'm doing today. So yeah, it's I'd love to say that my life, what I do for a living now, is a direct reflection of me and my values, which is cool.
That kind of leads me on to then. So how do that's exactly that point, the values part is, how do we, because like you touched on before, the conversation you have with people, it's very much, we're all in a very similar boat, right? You kind of,
Yeah,
unless you jump on the freedom train early doors in your life, you kind of get
yeah,
caught in this rat race, and the wheel goes round and round, and you're in a job, or in a business, and that runs you, and your time runs you, and it becomes, oh, I'll do that when I'm older, and unfortunately we don't all get
yeah.
to that phase.
For a
So
lot of
how?
people, that's the case. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never worked for anyone in my life, mate. You know, like I've got no one
It's
else to
amazing.
blame. You know, they say the ladder of success was up the wrong wall. I built the freaking ladder, and I still wasn't happy. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
freedom. I've read all the books. I've got them all behind me. Actually, they're fake. I haven't read any of them. But
They're just
at the
propped
end
up.
of the day, I read all the. But I created the ladder. So like my tat here is around this time says, if it is to be, it is up to me.
Nice, yeah.
And so I took responsibility, ownership, and accounted. I was accountable to myself, and I found myself at the time sort of using blame, excuses,
Mm.
denying I even had a problem in the first place. So I just wanted to, take responsibility, and that's what I did at that point, and haven't looked back. But yeah, our values are our non-negotiables. For me, it's health.
Hmm.
I will not let my health get to a certain level. It's just like or I will not let my health go down low to the point, look, because I care about it too much. I also helping others. If I'm not actually helping others, I'm it's totally incongruent with who I am. If freedom, if I haven't got the power of choice, the freedom in my life, and I'm feeling trapped, I'm going against the grain. I'm being, again, incongruent with who I really am. Fun, adventure. If I'm not having fun, if I don't have a spirit of adventure in what I do on a day-to-day basis and creativity around that, I don't feel I'm being true to myself.
Hmm.
So these are values, and you can do a bunch of different exercises. I'm sure you could go to Google and put top 200 values, and they're just words, and they say pick 3 to 5, pick 3 to 5 words that are more congruent with who you are, and they're the ones that I identified at the time, and then went, all right, I'm going to build a business around my own values. So my work and my life, and my life and my work are exactly the same thing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what you get
And
with the bucket list guy. And I
that,
think
that's the
the
dream
the
place,
whole
right? That's the dream
yeah, the
everyone wants
holy
to get.
grail. The holy grail, man, is because in the personal training days, I trained some very, very wealthy clients, celebrities, billionaires, and even though we've got the money, and not everyone's happy, and the
Yeah.
rat, and in the rat race, yeah, a lot created their own rat race. But you're right, a lot of people were stuck in the rat race, and they still are. They don't know how to get out of it. But then I saw, and we still see depression, anxiety, the overprescription of antidepressants going up and up and up, the language of the rat race, Mondayitis, hump day. Thank God it's Friday. And I say, Sundayitis as well,
Oh yeah,
at
big
three,
time.
4 in the afternoon on a Sunday, you start to get that. Here we go again,
Yeah, how many people don't sleep on Sunday night, right? Because of the
Yeah, yeah.
anxiety over Monday. It's a very
And here's
common
the
thing.
thing. We've also got this thing called the loneliness epidemic. It's
Mm.
actually a thing. It's a real thing. It's the adverse effect of social media. And that's having a crazy effect on mental health. If there's one thing that I want to do, mate, if there's one thing, if my mission is this, is to wake people up before they get given a use by date.
Mm.
Wake people up before they slip into depression, anxiety, over prescription of antidepressants. Life is way too short, so myself and my coaches, we've got certified bucket list coaches now in 21 countries around the world, And our mission is to help wake people up before it's too late. It's real simple.
Same mission as here, you know, as I was saying to you before, the dream more of Pocket Mastermind is exactly that, right? You've got to, and I say it sounds, every time I say this, and I kind of preface it with it sounds like a cliche, but you've got to wake up to dream, right? You can't, if you're in hypnosis of the day-to-day life, how can you possibly build a vision of what you truly want? Most of us don't even think about what we truly want. You just get on, you're on the hamster wheel. You get up, you go to work, you come home, you go to sleep. So how do you help people with the bucket list coaching?
Well,
How would you help people stick a spoke in that wheel and start to build, to head towards a life that is more fulfilling for them?
mate, it's a really good question. And like we can all write visions and missions and even dream, but that's not action.
Yeah.
It's not action. Just writing shit
how do you
down and
get to
thinking
that?
about it doesn't mean anything,
Yeah.
right? It's actually taking action. So first things first is like we use the bucket list, right? That when I go out and I've done a TED talk I did a TEDx talk in front of 2,000 people, and that was actually my bucket list, to do a TED talk. And it's called Life's Too Short by Trav Bell. It's on YouTube. And in that, I introduced and unpacked a concept called the My Bucket List Blueprint. It's a 12-letter acronym for how to write a personally meaningful and holistic bucket list. So it's a 12-step program, and it's a little bit like AA.
Yeah.
You might need a drink at the end of it, but it helps people go north, south, east, west in their own brain, and helps them extract and articulate this list. So, and because I saw it, you ask most people, what are your goals? And, put the kids through school, do a bit of travel, want to mold, pay off the house. These are the common goals. A lot of people think of it, a bucket list is just about travel. It's not. And because we live in a delayed gratification society, I'll be happy when syndrome, people paying for, waiting for someday the
That never
perfect time
comes.
to come around.
It never comes
And it
because
never
we just add
happens.
another thing on top and on top
That's
and on
it.
top, so you never
That's
ever
it.
get there. Yeah.
So people, here's the real deal is people are sacrificing their happiness to enjoy later. We live in this delayed gratification society. Like in America, 89% of people are what they call disengaged, who go to work every day. They're what they call disengaged. So what the 89% of people who go to work every day don't like what they do.
No, I'm not surprised either, to be honest.
The UK is nearly the same. Australia is nearly the same as well. So no wonder our depression rates are going up. No wonder mental health is a massive issue. You chuck COVID-19 on the top of it, lockdowns and quarantines, mate, we are screwed. We're in a bad place. Like suicides are going up, not just adults either.
No.
You suicide, as is going through the roof. And look, with this whole bucket list thing, if people are watching this, these are just tools to help you self-manage, to help you be happier now, right? Not wait until it's too late. So step one, watch my TED talk. It's probably the best thing to do. Watch the TED talk. And step two, there's this thing. Remember we used to get these things. Do you know what this is? This is what they call a pen.
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy. I know. It's crazy.
I thought it got extinct. Yeah.
It's like this old writing implement that people used to use before they did this, and it's crazy. I know, and this one's got 4 colors.
I remember those pens. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Let's pick black. All right. So what we do is we've got this stuff. This is called paper.
Wow.
I know, nuts. I know. It's like the dark ages. So what we do is we put that on there, and it makes it a thing. Look at that.
I seem to remember distant memory of this stuff happening.
I know. It writes. It's this concept called writing. Crazy thing, I know. But at the end of the day, if you actually write down your goals, people, you've got a 42% more likelihood of them actually manifesting. That's old school, conscious writing of goals. Okay, I don't even want you to type into your iPhone or your smartphone or your dumb phone, whatever. Just write the things down, and then you've got a 40. You might as well do it. You're nearly halfway there. So write down, go through the My Bucket List blueprint. That's the skeleton. And then take time out of your life to work on your life and put meat on the bones. Okay, write down some things on your bucket list. There's no right or wrong. Doesn't matter if it fits into one of those categories or not. It's about unearthing this stuff and putting it down, getting it out of your head. All right, we've got to separate your daily to-do list from your bucket list, because guess which one gets done on a day-to-day basis first? And it'll keep getting done unless you separate it. Right now, your bucket list is up there with everything else list. Okay, I can look out, like the TED Talk, I can look out to 2,000 people, and I go, okay, who's got a bucket list? Everyone, oh, yeah, I have. Okay, who's actually got one written down? Yay!
Yeah.
There'll be 20% of the audience that put up their hand. Then there's another 10. Half of that 20% are like, yay. I go, you really haven't got your hand up, have you? Like, you're just putting your hand up to say that you've written it down. Have you actually written it down? Yeah, no. So there's 10% of the audience, and I've done this all around the world for the last 10 years, right? 10% of any audience have actually written a bucket list down. Right. So I'm like, yeah, I'm still on a job. So at the end of the day, we're so busy on our to-do list that we forget about our bucket list until something dramatic or traumatic happens to us or a loved one. Here's the real deal. So it's not until we get given a use by date that we suddenly switch priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's shit. Just like the movie, The Bucket List, it was about two blokes that get given a cancer diagnosis and then they write a bucket list. It's stupid. But human beings need to be slapped that hard to wake up. So if people are listening to this, wake up. Wake up, because because if like, oh, it won't happen to me, bullshit.
But there's one thing for sure, we're all going to pop it at some point. It depends on how long. So why wait? And I think the irony is, like, we live in a world where there's no delayed gratification other than our future happiness, right? It makes no sense. Like, we can have everything within 30 seconds of wanting it, and we tend to prioritize that over the future. Yet we don't go and take what we could have now anyway. And I think it's the hypnosis, right? We're taught through school, this is what you're going to do. You go through education, you get a job, or you start a business, whatever it is. But basically it goes work, school, work, retire, dead. And we kind of blindly follow the blueprint and not look around at some other people that are actually living the whole of their life, not waiting to the end to fit a bit in at the end.
Yeah, I think they call it the 40-40-40 plan. You spend 40 years of your life working 40 hours a week to then live on 40% of what you earned at your peak.
Makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
It is a matrix. It is brainwashing, and the sad thing about this too, David, is so many people have said to me over the years, thank you for giving me permission to dream again. It's crazy. People are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. Mm-hmm. This midlife crisis is a real thing. And I'd love to say that we give them a midlife awakening. Like, I'm not a motivator, oh, you're a motivational speaker. I hate that term. It's like, mate, I'm just talking about reality. And I don't care if you like me, but I will fair dinkum wake you up. I've just seen it in too many countries around the world. And we've got too many examples of people who've been diagnosed or died from cancer around us. Every single person has. So how many more examples do we need for us to truly wake up and start to live our life deliberately, live our life on purpose, and put our own oxygen mask on first before we can help others?
So true.
Because that's what it's all about. Be selfish, and that's cool. Like, be self-centered. This is a self-leadership exercise. You doing your bucket list is the fun, adventurous example that you want to set for your kids. True?
Yeah, 100%. And the more you look after yourself, the happier you're going to be. Means you're going to be a better person to everybody else
Better
you come into
everything, man.
contact with, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, like you said, the key part of all of this is then starting to take action. So, once you've written your goals down, how do you move from that big, long kind of stream of consciousness into tangible action?
Well, look, and there's two types of goals here. There's habit goals and achievement goals. So a habit goal is something that we just implement into our day-to-day routine. Drinking 4 liters of water today, a day, or 2 liters of water a day is a habit goal. Exercising every day is a habit goal. Some of those habit goals or habits can be on route on part of the journey towards an achievement goal. An achievement goal is like a bucket list item, and we run around. If people put, look at this, tick it before you kick it,
No.
tick it before you kick it into social media. Note the B for you there, kids. Tick it before you kick it is, if you put that into social media, you'll see a lot of our bucket list coaches and our bucket list clients around the world actually ticking stuff off their bucket list. That's an achievement goal. But and so my advice is to go after the thing that can give you a sense of accomplishment. Go after the smallest things that is only a decision away, a phone call away, and or one action away. I mean, if you want to, I don't know, give us a bucket list item, mate. What do you want to do?
Go traveling around South America. Let's do that. That's
All
one
right, a non-travel one.
A non-travel one. Think about what I've got. Things I want to do. Most of mine are revolving around travel, but actually, I think a bit like you, I'd quite like to do. I'd quite like to do a talk at some point, and a bit like you said, you were shy back then. I grew up very shy, and I've been on a journey to overcome that shyness as well. So I'd love to get to a place where I feel I've got a strong enough message that I can deliver to an audience like that.
Cool. Set a date, book a venue. Apply for it. Yeah, it is. Apply to be on a TEDx stage.
Mm-hmm.
Actually tell someone that you're going to run a public event. Say it on your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That you're going to run a public event next month.
Kind of just did I?
Yeah, well, man, or run a virtual event. That is the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've mentored a lot of speakers over the years. I'm what they call a CSP, a Certified Speaking Professional. It's an accreditation in professional speaking that's globally recognized. And I've been mentoring, coaching speakers as one of those, and my role in this Professional Speakers Australia. And my advice to anyone who wants to be a public speaker is to actually book a venue and tell people. Pay money, book a venue, tell people. Don't care when it is, just do it. And then that is an accelerated learning technique that you can't back away from.
Mm-hmm.
You got to publicize it, and now you've got, if it's 2 months out, now you've got 2 months to create a talk, and get friends, family, and fools to turn up. Doesn't matter. Make it, get someone to take photos, get someone to video it, and then now you're a public speaker. That's exactly what I did.
It's a great shout. I'm going to do it. And I'm a big believer in. I'm a big believer in that mechanism. Whether it's education and stuff. I'm a big believer in actually buy the stuff because you'll get great value and because it's pretty relatively cheap no matter what you tend to invest in. Do your research and find good stuff, but I think by paying for something, it gives you much more impetus to actually follow it through. Take the learnings from it.
Well, what I like this saying is, when people pay, they pay attention. When they pay more, they pay more attention. So it's actually about energy transference too. So now your attention is on that. And so a bucket list item, a bucket list item is not just about writing a simple list and then going and doing it. It's really, mate, about how a person reverse engineers every aspect of their life in order to make this stuff come to fruition. It's a growth of you on the journey towards these destinations now that is the most important part of this. And it's how you grow on that journey. More importantly, though, it's about the person that exists on the other side, the person that you do not know yet, and that's called our potential. And when we see our potential, when we experience and feel our potential, that puts a smile on our face. That's happiness. That other person on the other side of your bucket list is the person that I want you to get excited about. I want you to think about that and anchor that in the face of fear. Like, who will David Bell be, the bigger version of him at the end of that talk? And people clapping it out, and people recommending you to do other ones. If you've got, and if anyone has got, like yourself, if anyone's got a willingness to teach and to educate, and you've got some stories, some really inspirational stories, how dare you not tell those stories? How dare you not tell those stories out to the general public, because there's someone, normally our former self, that is out there wanting to hear from you, and your story could be the thing that flips their life upside down in a great and positive way. How dare you sit on the richness of these stories?
Yeah, that applies, and I'd echo that. It applies to pretty much everybody. Everybody has their own unique experience of navigating life, and you've overcome something that somebody else is trying to overcome now. And I think we all tend to hold back thinking, oh, no one's going to be interested in anything I've got to say. It was interesting when I first started the podcast, I put a message out on social saying, anybody I know, if you've come and share. I know loads of people that have done lots of great things. If you want to come and share your story, come and talk. Zero. Everyone I approached directly and said, hey, do you want to come and talk about what you've done? Yes. So everyone took the assumption that no one would want to hear what they want to hear about. But if they were asked to do it, they want to do it. They're happy to come and do it. And I think you've got to understand that whatever you've done or been through, somebody can benefit from that experience.
I love the saying, we're all, and this thing that sucks about social media is we're all comparing our behind the scenes footage with someone else's highlights reel.
Yeah, exactly. So true.
And when you get out of your own way and start to really look, the reptilian brain that we all have that protects us from fear, that's the thing, like that says, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to start a podcast, to do a book, to do a public event? Who the hell do you think you are? You're only David Bell. Like, do you think you're Tony Robbins? Like, sit down, mate. Like what gives you the right to think, that's not your thing. Stay in the shell. You'll always have that, no matter how big you go out there, how big a game you play, you'll always have that fear, that voice of doubt, no matter what. That's actually part of us. It's inbuilt. Mm-hmm. The coach said this to me once. He said, all right, you're always going to have it. It's designed to keep you safe. So you keep on reproducing and you don't do no harm to this thing called a body and the brain. So it's always going to be there. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Book by Susan Jeffries. You don't really have to read the book. It's just feel the fear and do it anyway. Coach said to me, go out and start helping people. Go out and start helping lots of people. Do it for free. Just go out and help them. You're doing that through your podcast already. Go out there and help them. Before you know it, you go out and help enough people. Their voice of encouragement, their positive reinforcement, the positive vibes and referrals and testimonials that you'll get from them before you know it, that'll be too loud for you to ignore, and that'll drown out the inner voice, and no truer word has been spoken.
It's so true. Our fear tends to be fear of fear, right? You know, and we all do it. Even if you're consciously aware of it, there'll still be times where you have to interrupt it. I still definitely do more often than not. You kind of, even though you're conscious that it's bullshit fear, it still gets you, doesn't it? You know, it will always come back, and see big blue chip CEOs that still have like imposter syndrome and stuff. You think
Totally.
these guys are flying, but they've got the same doubts as everyone else.
Yeah, one of the best, guiding guiding tools that we've got is, if you do feel fear when you do go to make a decision, that is actually the signpost to you changing your life.
It's growth happening.
Like, that is it. That is a signpost. You must go here. You must do this, because on the other side is the bigger version of you that I want you to get. I want people to get excited about that. And I've just had, one of the biggest regrets that people have, I want people to live a regret-free life rather than a regret-full life. One of the biggest regrets that we have is, I wish I lived a life true to myself, not what others expected of me.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I live a life true to myself, not what others expected of me. And that's from Bronnie Ware's The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying book. That is actually the number one fear.
I'm not, yeah, and no one's ever said, God, I wish I'd spent more time at the office. You know,
no, the reason I got into public speaking, because it was actually the world's number one fear. People would rather get eaten by fucking sharks.
Yes,
like it's not. People would rather get what's the saying? People would rather be in the box than give the eulogy.
Yeah.
So that's for me, and it has had a massive ripple effect, in my life, because I went after that, and I was shit when I started. Oh my God. And now not so, not as much, but I still, you just got to just get out of your own way. It's a constant evolution of just getting out of your own way.
So on that subject of fear, and I think, as we're talking about this, and we're talking about what we touched on before around, you're on the hamster wheel, you're going round and round, right? Okay, so you break the cycle. You start
do the smallest thing. Do the smallest thing that you can do.
Yes, I was going to say, how do you start to kind of evolve your life? Like, because if you're in a job that's really shit and you hate, like you say, like 89% of people there or thereabouts are in jobs they hate. How do you start to kind of change that so that actually work doesn't become your life? The thing I found when I got out of the corporate world, and the thing that I enjoyed the most, was actually I now have 7 days in my life rather than 2 and 5 where there was other stuff happening. Now I can work any day of the week. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I work when I want to work, and when there's stuff to do, and I can be free when I want to be free, and that's the most freeing thing that I ever found. But how do other people kind of
look? I think a lot of people fuck this up. Is they hate doing what they're doing so much that they go to a seminar on a weekend and they say, quit your job and go to, monetize, find out what your passions are and go and monetize your passion. Fuck it, quitting on Monday. I hate this thing. I'm going to go and, go into small business for myself. And I love dog training. And so I'm going to go in and start a dog training business because I love dogs. Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, before you do that, champ, here's what I want you to do. This is understand the love to, have to seesaw, right? I'd love to be a full-time dog trainer. But this is my have to. I've got to keep the lights on. I've got to keep food on the table. I have to go to work because we live on an economic planet. Yeah. And so I have to pay the bills. All right. But I really want to do this. This is my love to. I went to the seminar and they told me to quit that one and then just start that one. That's how it's meant to work, isn't it? No, 80% of businesses fail in the first year, 5 years, et cetera, because people do this. They
Hmm.
hate what they're doing so much that they do it suddenly and they don't do it gently. So go to the seminar, get all rah-rah, get fired up, but suck it up and then create the plan. How are you going to make cash? How are you going to leverage and slowly build this business? Because then you find some flexi time and you have to, some stay at home, working online just a little bit more, et cetera, go from 5 days a week to 3. What does that look like? Find some flexibility. Meanwhile, you're building up some cash flow on your love to. Here will be the busiest time in your life.
Hmm.
You're still doing you have to. You're making some bank, and you're spending a lot of time on your love to, systemizing that. And then there's going to become this rocky time here where you might get slingshot back. Not too hard. Fuck it. Go back to where I was. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But there'll be that confidence time in your life when you go, you know what? We're on a roll here. And maybe this quarter, maybe the next quarter is giving me proof of concept enough that I can go full time in my love to and quit my have to. But people don't do this, do they?
Very rarely. There is
Bang, because
always
they
that
hate
kind of,
it.
yeah, it's the
They hate it so
breaking
much.
point. Exactly. It's the
They
breaking
have
point.
not set up a foundation, a business foundation yet. The planning and everything, your job, your business, the security that you've got in your job right now, even though you might hate it, you still got security. So it's not what you do on 9 to 5, it's what you do from 5 to 9.
Yeah.
That's where the planning comes in for your love to business. That's where you're planning, that's where you're building it up. And people should take advantage of that. Oh, you mean I'm going to work from like 9 to 5 during the day and then work from 5 at night to 9? But what about everything? This concept of life balance is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's never worked. Get obsessed about your love to and just do whatever it takes to make it successful and suck it up.
Yeah. The thing a lot of people end up saying, so
You can get balance. You can get balance and time off at the fucking end. Like put
exactly.
honestly,
It's
these people
nuts.
going, oh, work-life balance, and
Yeah.
it's the
But
biggest load of shit
there's
ever.
there's no life balance. All it is oh yeah, I need to wind down, relax. Blah. I guarantee you, when you do something that's more fulfilling, you'll sleep a darn sight better than if you watch TV. Right? You go to bed and you think, actually, I've achieved something. The stuff that keeps you from sleeping is the subconscious background stress of being miserable, and try to numb it with some crap TV program. Do something productive. There's nothing more fulfilling than growing and feeling like you're moving forwards on something.
Yeah. So that's a 3-year business plan right there. There you
Yeah.
go.
You should
Or
trademark.
1 year.
Yeah,
It
you should
depends how pissed off you
trademark
are.
the seesaw.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'd add on to that is that kind of like when you're building up that cash reserve, is cut your costs. If you're going to be planning on moving into setting up your own business, reduce your liabilities, right? Car payments and shit that you don't need is going to make your life more difficult. And I know people that have done this. You kind of try going into setting up a business with debts and credits that could have been eradicated beforehand, and it just puts more stress on you. You've got more of a hole to fill before you're surviving.
Yeah, I mean, live on fuck all while you're building your business. As simple as that.
Yeah.
Don't expect to pay yourself a salary that you were getting from your other job. Like in the first, certainly in the first 1 year, 2 years, maybe the third year, then you can get it up. But you got to factor in your expenses when you start any business anyway. Your own personal salary. The beautiful thing about business is you can write most of the stuff off, most of your expenses off anyway, into your business, which you beforehand you couldn't.
Yeah, that's the other rule of entrepreneurship, right? Is pay yourself first. That's the benefit.
Yeah,
When you're an employee,
and
you don't
look
get to
for
do that. The tax man
And
gets
here's the
it, though.
thing. Yeah, and here's the thing, mate. Like, if you're not aware by now, my bucket list has been a tax deduction for the last 10 years.
Pretty smart.
So my accountant still to this day says, Trav, you're not as dumb as you look. Oh, fuck you, mate. Yeah. So, but now the cool thing about it, that's been paid forward. So now we've got nearly 100 coaches around the world, and we're building, and now their bucket list is also a tax deduction.
Smart.
Because they're a certified bucket list coach, and them doing that in front of the Eiffel Tower, or them doing that at Machu Picchu, or them doing that, shark diving here in Australia, that is actually a tax deduction, because that's social media marketing, isn't it?
Genius. Genius. There's always something else. Any other tips and advice you give to people looking to kind of get off that hamster wheel and get a more fulfilling life?
Look, like as they say in Forex trading, you've got to create what is going to be your stop loss. What I mean by that is, how much more can you tolerate? If you can tolerate it, then cool. But plan. If you're planning to go to something else, then plan it out. But here's the thing. We have in Australia, we call them whinge and poms. You probably call it whinge and Aussies. Like
Yeah.
I mean, you guys sent all the convicts to a remote.
We got it the wrong way around, didn't we?
A remote tropical island. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
But all the bad people to a remote tropical island in the middle of the Pacific. No, thanks. But on behalf of all Australian, but the point being, everyone's got their own tolerance level on what they can put up with. Question, is it going to be another year that you can do? Is it going to be another 6 months? Is it going to be another year? Is it going to be another 2 or 3 years that you can tolerate? The last thing that we want is for you, and last thing your mates and your family and your kids and your spouse and your everything, the last thing that people want is you complaining all the time, and you may have for years, just complaining and bitching about your lot in life, when you have the power to fucking change it, right? If you're finding yourself for the last 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 10 years, even more, complaining about your lot in life, and actually I'm talking to my dad here, is do something about it, because people who you are whinging to, they've already got their own problems. They don't need your shit. All right. If you're going to complain about it, then do something about it. But whatever you do, don't keep complaining about it, and don't change and don't do anything about it. No one needs that shit. Like, nothing worse. I can't tolerate it, and I'm getting too old, too grey.
Yeah,
And
we both.
if people are consistently complaining about their lot in life and not taking action towards the positive, I will shut them down. Like, there's nothing worse. Like, part of their identity is just to bitch and complain. Shut the fuck up and do something about it. Honestly, no, like, the world's got enough problems. They don't need your shit on top of it, unless you've got the balls to go and do something about it. Yeah, I'm a motivational speaker. Yeah. So,
I love the message.
I think I'm getting hungry. It's like 6 o'clock here at night. I think on a Monday night, maybe I'm getting hangry now.
No, I love that. I completely agree. I love the message, because we do have so much more control than I think we're either led to believe, or we've taught ourselves to believe, and we think that this is our thing and this is it. Yeah. But we don't have to be reactionary. We can be proactive yourself. And we can just get out and do something, one little thing at a time, and it snowballs, and it snowballs so fast.
It's kind of like personal development rhetoric at the end of the day. But like, if you check in with yourself, if you're finding yourself really playing above the line, below the line, as opposed to above the line, and you find yourself in your own language. And that's in your own head as well. Maybe not even what you're saying out to other people. If you're finding yourself blaming, if you find yourself blaming, using excuses, or even denying that there's a problem in the first place, you're a victim. All right, just you are a victim to what's going on. You are COVID's bitch. You are the economy's bitch. You are the bitch of the environment that you've found yourself in. I'm sorry, but you are a victim. Let that sink in. But if you flip it, if you go, you know what? Like I said, enough is enough. I'm going to draw a line in the sand, and I am sick. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I am sick of complaining. I'm sick of using excuses. I know there's a problem, and I've just been denying it up until this point. It's like I was in personal training, right? I'm not fat. I'm not fat. I'm not fat. You're fucking fat.
Yeah, but this is the thing. We also live in a world
know,
of a lack of honesty as well.
money is not important. You're fucking poor.
Yeah.
All right. You're on the poverty. Oh, I don't need a partner. I'm strong. You are fucking lonely. All right. No one wants to be around you. You're repelling the world. Like at what point are you going to go, well, fuck, reality is reality. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to flip this shit. I'm going to flip the script, and I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to be accountable to myself, and I'm going to take 100% ownership over my lot in life. And that includes the information or the things that you say to yourself when you are by yourself. Like, when is enough going to be enough, people? In every area of your life. When are you going to say, fuck this? Here's the thing, and I know that the family can hear me here because everyone's working from home. We made a pact at the start of this whole lockdown, COVID-19 and everything else. We made a pact, especially Tracy, my partner, and I. We've both got our own businesses, obviously. We made a pact to come out of this whole mess, these lockdowns and everything else going on, better in every single area in our life. Health, wealth, income, business. As parents as well, I've got 4 kids. Parents, both as partners as well, to be closer and to be stronger, and basically to go, fuck you.
It's powerful.
Not be its bitch, man. Like, we are getting thrown the biggest tests right now, aren't we?
100%.
And we are
nowhere near done, right? It's going on and on and on. This thing.
Oh, mate, we are wavering. Like, our mindset. I've found myself getting into a dark hole again. I'm like, dude, I can't go backwards. I've got so much momentum in this COVID-19. Everything changed, and for me, it was April and May. I went, shit, this is hardcore. Where is my mindset at? And I just, I let things get on top of me, like everyone did, I think. We like to think, oh, I'm the most positive person in the world. Dude, when stuff gets layered on top of you like this, you're just like, whoa. And we made a pact, and it's enough is enough, like, let's switch off the fucking news.
Yeah.
Let's stop watching the stats. Let's stop hanging around with other people where the fucking sky is falling every day, and just choose on our inputs and choose how we react. And we all have the power to do that. And I think now is a perfect time for people to reset, recalibrate, find their true north. Let's use this bucket list as a bigger picture bunch of whys to get out of bed in the morning, reason whys to get out of bed in the morning. And let's set up our businesses to produce the time flow and the cash flow for us to do the things that we want to do. Double bonus if you actually love what you do and you find meaning and purpose and you're of service to other people. I think that is a business, that is a vehicle, job or business or career, that is the holy grail. It spits out the time flow and the cash flow, and you're doing something meaningful, and it's hitting your internal rule book, your values. I think that's the holy grail. And I think right now we've got the opportunity to take time out of our lives to really, set a course, and then stop living by default and live by our total design.
Yeah, I hope that a lot of people have used this as an opportunity to really assess what's important to them. Lots of people have had a break from the commute for the first time for a very long
Yeah.
time, and I think that in itself has really hit home with people. Actually, I've got another 2, 3, 4 hours in a day that I could do other
What the
stuff
hell
with.
do I
Hey,
do?
suddenly I've
Yeah.
got extra life.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I hope that people
Mm.
have been able to take that time for that
And,
purpose.
and people got to give themselves credit too.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that go around talking about resilience and this sort of thing. Dude, we've all been resilient during this.
yeah,
We've we've
still here,
we've
right?
but in no time in history have we had to adapt, innovate, and radically collaborate. And just fail forward faster. We're all working out this online world. We're all working out how technology works. Our 1, 2 year, maybe 5 year business plan had to happen in 7 days. We were all offering offline workshops, and like me as a speaker, I'm running around the world as a bucket list guy. There's no big events, there's no freaking travel, so I'm like living the bucket list from my house. Like that business just went into the toilet. But now I'm doing online presentations and helping remote work teams find their why and get positive, and focusing largely on mental health. And I love doing this stuff. So we've all had to adapt. We've all had to innovate, and I think people need to give themselves a massive pat on the back as well, because we've got homeschooling. People have got to be really happy with themselves that they've got through this far. Fuck, what else can they do?
Hmm.
Given these punches to the face, what else can they do? Like, don't just take this as, oh, geez, remember back in COVID days, we got smashed and we just got through that. Dude, people are being so resilient now, and they need to get motivated by their actions, because they've already taken actions. And let's map this circumstance into other areas of our lives, right?
That's an important aspect. You've got to be able to reflect, otherwise you feel like you're never going anywhere. And I think, like you just said, if you just said to anybody, right, this is what you're going to do for the next 3, 4, 5 months, everyone said, I can't do that. It's too hard. It's too
No,
hard.
can't
And
do that.
suddenly we all survived, right? So it shows that you can do
We've done
stuff
it.
way more difficult than you ever thought
Oh,
you ever could. So like you say, so what else could I do? I mean, most other things are probably going to be a walk in the park compared to trying to work from home, homeschool, all of the list of a million things that people have been juggling throughout the day. Like, seriously, doing something
yeah.
else is probably not that
Give
hard.
yourself credit. Give yourself a pat on the back. So when David does his first public speaking extravaganza,
I love that. I'm going to call it the extravaganza.
yeah, oh yeah,
You can only let
obviously
people down from that point on.
there's magic tricks. There's the dog and pony show. But at the end of the day, if we can do this collectively, we can do anything. I think we can do anything, and I think people listening, watching to this, mate, use this as like a big sign of, fuck yeah, I can do whatever I want. If I can get through this, I can get through anything.
100%. Right, before we wrap up and tell everyone where they can find you, got a few quick questions I want to fly through. So, first
Cool.
one, do you have a morning routine? If you do, what does it look like?
It does. I'm big on this. So I call it my launch sequence, actually, and I get up. If I don't get my long black coffee within 15 minutes to 20 minutes, I'm an arsehole. I'll just straight up. No. I've got to. Now, first things first is, and I've literally broken this down into what I call launch sequence. So I've written it down. Tracy and I are really big on this because we are running our own business, so that we've got no boss. We don't have to, no one's setting an alarm for us. We don't have to get on a commute. We've
It'd be
done
easy not to get up, wouldn't it?
well, yeah. I mean, so you got to create your own rules, and I think that's where a lot of people have had to adapt in these last few months is create their own rules. Not everyone's good at this, but it's kind of what entrepreneurs do. We have to. So yeah, coffee, and then we're fasting as well, so we don't get up and just have breakfast. We get into first meals around 11 o'clock. I largely a carnivore as well, so it's mainly meat, which helps with ketosis. Anyway, there's a whole other thing behind that. If I don't ride in the morning, I'll probably eat earlier. I like to get up and have rides, but that's not happening at the moment with a group of mates. Get up, walk around the beach. I live literally, the beach is like just there. So we do a little walk, get the coffee, which is awesome. Map out the day before. I've written my daily to-do list. I've identified my 3, what I call MVPs, most valuable priorities. I use the Full Focus Planner here by Michael Hyatt. That's a 90-day action plan or 90-day planner. Identify the top 3 MVPs. These are the big dominoes that I need to push over. Normally, if they've got money and time and money, there's a lot of money attached to them, or they've got time pressure attached to them, I'll time block those into about, depending on what they are, but I'll time block those into the day. I'll structure my meetings all around making sure that I get that my to-do list done before anyone else's. So I've helped on. I personally coach a lot of C-level executives and other founders around this whole productivity principles and what I call work-life blend coaching. So I practice all this. I've hacked into it. A lot more where that came from, but at the end of the day, that launch sequence is pretty down pat. Right to, we'll knock off tonight, and I write five gratitudes before I go to bed every single night. Old school, pen and paper. That helps me reflect on, and this will be one of them, mate. This has been a great talk, and I'll reflect on the day that I had, and reflect on the great things that happened during my day, the little victories and the real happiness moments. And that's how I can switch off my monkey mind and go to bed and have a good night's sleep, a happier sleep. So launch sequence right through to end sequence. Yeah, I do have it pretty planned out.
Nice. I'm a big fan of the gratitude thing. I tuned into this, I don't know, a couple of years or so ago when I suddenly realized that it's impossible to feel anything than positivity and happiness while being grateful, right? So 100%. If anyone look, and I think it partly came from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. It was kind of like, actually,
Viktor Frankl.
Yeah, because it's like you suddenly realize that if you can be happy in that situation through finding pleasures and gratitudes, then you can do it in any situation, right? There's always something to be grateful for.
Yeah, so my rules are: it's easy to write 3. You got to switch on. You got to switch on a whole other part of your brain to do 5.
Yeah. And
here's the rules, guys. So if you've got to write them down, not put them in your phone, but actually write them down. I am grateful for. Reflect. I like to do them at the end of the day. I don't do any journaling as such, and a lot of other people do that. I do meditation as well during the middle of the day. I bookend at the end of my day with we do weight training in a gym at the end of the day, and that helps you go from work to sort of life. Helps to pattern interrupt. But yeah, writing 5, I've done that since going through depression. So, and the other rule are you got to do 5, but you're not allowed to repeat your gratitudes ever again. So if you say, I'm really grateful for my family, you're not allowed to say that ever again. So it forces you to look at the smallest little details. That's
I
great.
love that tip, and I agree with the five of everything, right? If you try and think of five things that went well, five things that you could improve, or five, it gets you thinking a bit more. Because, like you say, three's super easy, right? You can make them up on the
Yeah.
spot, but five becomes more
Yeah.
difficult. If you want to really test yourself, try doing 10, because
Yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
creativity really comes in. Um,
Yeah.
Three books you'd recommend and why?
Well, Happier by Tal Ben-Shahar. He helped me. This book helped me actually identify my bucket list guy and step into that even more. He's got a process in here. It's called the MPS process: three intersecting circles in a Venn diagram. M, P, and S. What gives you meaning? What gives you pleasure? And what are your strengths? And in the middle is your calling. So I did this, and I got motivational speaker. I'm like, that's my calling. But he's a positive psychologist, studied under Martin Seligman, and was a really good book at the time.
Nice.
Still is. Grant Cardone, here we go. I love this. Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average. So that just gave me license to be obsessed about freaking everything, and scrap this whole idea of work-life balance. It doesn't exist. God, what else? I'll because I mentioned it before. Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. There it is. Mate, I've got a truckload.
That's why it's always hard to pick three, because there's so many damn
Yeah.
books out there. My list is always growing, particularly because I ask these questions.
God damn it! What am I reading at the moment? I'm looking forward. Yeah, it depends on a time and a place. So yeah, I'm actually ticking stuff off my bucket list at the moment, and that is to read 52 books in a year. It's actually ultimate challenge that I've set for myself. So because I'm also founder CEO of certified bucket list coaches around the world. Last year, a couple of years ago, actually, I read that the average CEO reads 52 books a year. So guess what I want to be better at? Being a CEO. So fuck, it's
A lot of reading.
oh,
No,
mate,
Bill
the
Gates has
books
always
that
done one a week, hasn't he?
I go to a bookshop or go to a mate of mine recommends a book. I'm like, how thick is it? So I'm looking for books that are like this thin now. Like I started off,
Yeah.
and
Don't
now I'm down to the just so I can knock
pick
them
up
out in a
something
day.
like Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game. That thing's a beast. So,
Yeah, no, nothing too technical. Do they do one-page books? I don't know.
yeah,
I
maybe you should
need to
write
knock
one a week.
over
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Anyway,
What about three other people to follow or listen to?
who I like listening to.
Yeah.
For me, I like Grant Cardone. He's good. And the good thing of it is the guy Mark Wright, who runs Climb Online over there in the UK, is in business with Lord Alan Sugar. Mark Wright, who won The
The Aussie
Apprentice.
guy, yeah.
Yeah. So he won The Apprentice. He's a mate of mine, and I just did a talk for their company actually just the other day. He hung out and did a speaking tour with Grant, and said he was a great guy, and he's a real deal. And I think the cool thing about that is, and if you don't know, Grant Cardone wrote the 10x rule, big property guy. When I first come across him, I thought he was a total wanker, but he's just out there and he just doesn't give a shit. So I like that. Also, I like Tim Ferriss. I mean, on my bucket list was to meet Tim Ferriss. So I had lunch with Tim Ferriss of the 4-hour work week. Yeah.
How did you manage?
So so I had lunch with, and he's a really good guy, really down to earth, not full of himself. So reading when he came out with the 4-hour work week, that was a really poignant book for me, because I had all of these gyms all around Australia, and I had the leases for all of them. So I was up to my eyeball in all these commercial leases. And then I read his book, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'd love to run shit from a hammock one day,
Yeah.
you know. So I that helped me make decisions about my life and why I do what I do now. So I told him all this, and I had lunch with him. Tim Ferriss, and one, two, three. Geez, who else? That'll do. One, two, three. You want a third one? Oh, look, probably my business partner, who's been really influential, who wrote these books. So his name is Brad Sugars. He is founder CEO of Action Coach, which is a big global business coaching franchise around the world. I think they're in 73 countries, nearly 2,000 business coaches worldwide. And it was him that invited me to do a talk down in South Africa to their top coaches at their global conference a few years ago. And after doing a good job, he came up to me and said, "Great job. Have you thought about allowing other people to teach you stuff?" I'm like, no, I'm the bucket list guy. This is what makes me special. And he said, "No, I think you could really, I think you could license this out. Let's talk about going into business together." So about 6 months after that conversation, at the start of January 2018, we set up Bucket List Coach, and for 2.5 years, and now we're in 21 countries. We've got certified bucket list coaches all around the world.
Amazing.
So hats off to Brad. He's a smart guy, and to be validated by a guy like that, who they say is one of the top business coaches in the world. You know, he's written 18 books on business. He's got all these other business coaches around the world, and he taught. I had an action coach before I even met Brad. So and for him to validate my idea has been pretty cool. So, you know, with Bucket List Coach, we're on a mission to rebrand life coaching and to make life coaching more tangible, cooler, more accessible to more people, not as weird. So a bunch of his business coaches have also become Bucket List coaches.
Nice. 3 habits or disciplines that you've implemented into your life that you think have made the biggest difference to you.
My phone is facing downwards. Turned off notifications. So I'm always present to the people that I'm talking to. I'm not getting pinged. I choose, so I choose my habits around social media. I choose my habits around being present. You know, our presence or our attention is our most valuable commodity these days. So I practice that for my kids, for my partner, for people I'm doing business with, for things like this. As you know, presence is everything. Implemented, and again, it's realizing how I take time out for myself in amongst everything that I'm doing. So really putting in, making sure that I'm deliberately, like, I have to put it into my schedule. Otherwise my schedule gets taken up by my team and everything. But cycling, weight training most nights, surfing, these are all me time activities, and I actually schedule that. So I schedule me time as important meeting as I would with my biggest sale in business, or biggest thing in business.
Important, particularly when you're running your own business, because it's very easy to let that bit slide. You think,
so scheduling me time really important. I think that'll do.
3 tools. So on a similar thing, really, kind of 3 tools, systems, apps, services that you now use that you couldn't live without.
Uh, certainly Zoom.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Um, even though we're all zoomed out at the moment. Yeah, TikTok, not. Um,
Yeah,
so
I can see you TikTok.
fuck that. So what else? Let's go here. Look, I've got Zoom, I've got HubSpot, which is our backend CRM that I use. And what else? God, I don't know, mate. We use Stripe. We use to take money online.
Hmm.
We use a shitload of apps. Yeah, yeah, heaps. There
Zoom's
it is.
yeah, Zoom's top of the pops at the moment, I think, for most of us, particularly doing this.
Yeah, but I think apps like Calendly have
Yeah,
been
true.
great, or like I use meetings in HubSpot, which is the same sort of thing, and
Mm.
that's a game changer. No need for a PA.
Yeah, massive help. Last
Yeah.
question. If you could spend an hour with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
It'd probably be Grant, to be honest, at this point in time. Uh, I don't. I've met Sir Richard Branson,
Hmm.
um, and I've met some pretty cool people, and I've yeah. So the old thing is, and I'll meet him one day. It's like I don't bow down to too many people these days. Everyone's accessible, and I'm traveling in some of the same circles as he. So it's just only a matter of it's only a matter of time that he'll get to meet me. That's how we're going to put it.
I like that.
Uh,
It's all in the
so
framing. It's all in the
yeah.
framing.
So I'm
Love it.
sure meeting me is on his bucket list.
Yeah.
Not the but yeah, probably Grant. I'd love to meet Donald Trump for some weird reason.
Just
Because everyone
see
says
whether
he's
see
not.
whether it's all the real, whether it's the real deal, or
Well,
whether he's just taking the
people
piss.
say that he's like a really smart, switched on, funny guy in real life, but he's just a dickhead in media, and half the stuff that he says is sarcasm. He's just taking the piss.
I'd love to know
So
if it's true. I really would.
yeah, that'd be more of a fascination thing rather than a modelling.
Yeah.
Um, Kelly Slater as well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
11-time world surfing champ Kelly Slater. So yet to meet. Oh, the other one. Sorry, probably above all, Elon Musk.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be interesting.
So yeah,
I
there you
give you
go.
4 on that one.
There we go.
Good. It's been awesome. So let everyone know where they can track you down if they want to
Yeah.
follow you or find out more about coaching and all the rest of it. So
Well, probably the best. My social media drug of choice these days. Who knows if it'll last, but is probably Instagram, which is bucketlistguy.travbell. Or if it's on Facebook and LinkedIn, Trav Bell dash the bucket list guy. People can also email me if they want. Happy to be of service. That's trav at thebucketlistguy.com. DM me. So I don't know, how do people get in contact with? Email me. Go through you. You know what I'd love. What I challenge everyone to do is watch my TED talk, write down your bucket list, and send it to me, or post it up online and tag me in it. We're working on a little project at the moment. I encourage people to do that.
nice.
And you too, mate.
I will. I will.
You too.
Mate,
Rock
thank
on.
you. Thank you so much for your time. And thanks everybody else everybody who's been
I didn't
listening.
give my websites. I'm
Yeah, go get it in,
thebucketlistguy.com.
get it in
Yeah,
buckets. And will,
thebucketlistguy.com. And I
and I'll have
totally forgot about my other
I'll
business
have
is
I'll have link.
bucketlistcoach.com.
Yeah, I'll have links to everything. So don't worry.
Awesome.
When anyone listening to this now, if you want to hear more, you want to be able to follow Trav, then I'm going to have links. Go to pocketmastermind.com and you can find everything that you need. But
Yeah,
until
mate.
next time, have a great time, have a great day, and thanks again, Trav.
Cool, mate. Thanks
Cool.
heaps.